Welcome to the OBM Podcast. This is a platform where awareness, new perspectives, healing, and transparent conversations take place. Every mom has a motherhood journey that is unique, yet no mom is alone. So sit back, relax, open your minds, and steady your hearts to hear a mom's journey through motherhood.
Hey, sister friends, welcome to another episode of the OBM Podcast. Today we have an amazing mom. Her name is Essence. Y'all say hey to Essence. Awesome. Okay, so we are going to start with Essence sharing a little bit about who she is. So go ahead, Essence. You have the floor.
I'm Essence. I'm 31. I'm going to be 32 soon. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. I originally, I live now in Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas. I enjoy read tons of books. It's unfortunate I don't have anything displayed, but I read books. Um, I'm really big on TV too, so TV shows and books. I guess because of the pandemic, I started getting into gardening. I really like gardening. That's something that I'm probably always going to do now. I'm married. I have a husband and a daughter who will be 9 next month, and that's it, really.
That's good. And I love this new venture that you're on with gardening. Tell us your one favorite thing that you like about gardening. Like, why do you like it?
It's really relaxing. Yesterday we were out, and I just sat on the ground, and I was on the ground mixing dirt and doing my little flower arrangements, and it just felt really good. It felt relaxing,
You get your hands dirty.
just dirty, and I was just focusing on one thing, just one thing, and it felt really good. It was relaxing.
I bet just for you to say, like, you focused in on that one thing, we as moms, wives, just women, period, it's hard to just focus on that one thing. And so I'm glad that you took that moment to enjoy that moment. And you make me want to get out there and get my hands dirty. We don't have no garden or nothing. We have some dirt out there. But yeah, no, that sounds that sounds really good. So as you shared about who you are, is there a way you can kind of talk to us about your journey into motherhood? Kind of share your story with us?
Well, I just I just feel like one day I was going to get a surgery, and I just found out I'm pregnant. They were like, "Oh, you're pregnant." Yes, I found out I was pregnant. I was going to get surgery done, and I was prepped and everything. And of course, they have to give you a pregnancy test. And the doctor came in. He's like, "We can't do this today." He's like, "Well, if you want to, we can, but you can't have any, drugs." I was like, "No." He's like, "Yeah, you're pregnant." And at the time, my husband was in training school, so nowhere near me. And I had to call him and tell him, like, I'm not getting this surgery. So that's how it started. Which you would think that if it started like that, you would already know that the ride was going to be, you know, crazy but enjoyable too, right? So that's how I found out that I was pregnant. And then a couple of months after that, my husband got orders, and we went to Yokota Air Force Base, and I ended up delivering her in Japan. That's Air Force Base in Japan.
Wow.
And yeah, it was experiencing motherhood outside of America was totally different from here, from what we're experiencing now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's okay. First of all, I just want to, there's like 4 or 5 things I want to talk about. So first off, you said that you were in surgery, getting prepped. That's when you found out you were pregnant. Like,
Yes.
what did that do to your mind? Like, what did you say? How did you respond?
Well, I'm not going. I was excited, but then I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of disappointed because I needed the surgery. I've been needing the surgery for a very long time. Like since I was a kid, I needed the surgery.
Wow.
And it's nothing serious,
Okay.
but I needed the surgery for a long. I've been dealing with the issue for a very long time, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I was with my mom, so of course she was happy, but I was more like, I need the surgery. I need this surgery.
I feel you.
So, but yeah, I was just like, oh my goodness.
So it was like
Yeah.
a bittersweet. It sounds like it was like kind of like I'm glad I'm pregnant, but then I need the surgery. Like, can we like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. So you found out you were pregnant. How did your husband respond?
My husband is a chilled individual. He was like, okay. Like he was happy, but
Yeah.
he was like, oh, he was like, yeah. He was excited. He was excited,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he's very chilled.
yeah. You know, a lot of men, they do. I feel like he got off the phone and was like, oh my gosh. Like I feel like they have to process things a little different.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably, I'm sure he was very excited, like you said. So
Yes.
you found out you were pregnant. He was off in training. So what type of work does he do?
He is a aerospace mechanic. So he works on planes. His plane is a C-130.
Yeah.
C-130 airplane. It's a really big, huge cargo plane.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wow. Go ahead, brother. Yes. That's out there.
Yes.
All right. So when we talk about you being pregnant with your first and only child at this moment, and you had her in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I know that you said that it's, similar. It was different, but similar to American birth, labor and delivery, because you said you were on base.
Yes.
So being in the military, pregnant, how was that?
Because we were overseas, I would say that because we were overseas, it was difficult
Mm.
because my husband and I newly married and newly with child, and we didn't have any, I guess, elders. We didn't have any more adultier adults than us.
I love it. I love it.
to like guide us and ask questions. Of course, we could have called our mothers, but time difference. That was always a huge factor. Time difference. So we really didn't choose that option of like calling because of the time difference, it was really hard. So everything that we learned about parenting, like we literally learned from what we thought was best, like literally
Yeah.
what we thought was best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool that you guys were able. I mean, it's cool in my mind. To me, it's cool to kind of experience labor and delivery, a pregnancy outside of the United States. Like this is all I know. So to talk to a mom that had her whole pregnancy and labor and delivery in a whole nother country, Japan, I'm just like,
Yes.
oh my God. So it's pretty, I'm pretty even more excited to hear your story because of that. So so labor and delivery was about the same.
Yes, it was about same day, same thing. I think here in America we get 3 days. Is it 2 to 3 days?
It depends. Like C-section is probably like 3, 4, vaginal like 2, 3.
Okay, so yeah, it was same 3 days, and then we were off.
Wow.
But I do know I have a Japanese friend, and she had her baby while I was there too, and she was in the hospital for a week.
A week?
Mm-hmm. And she said that's a common practice.
Wow. So on base, they did it more Americanized.
Mm-hmm.
Most of you are from America, correct?
Yes.
And then we have people girl, where are my words? People in that live off of base. So I couldn't figure out nothing else to say. People that live off of base, they had to stay in the hospital for a week. That's normal.
Yeah, that's normal. Normal practice. Yes.
What did she share with you, like what they do during that week?
She just said that she rested and they really looked after her and the baby, but I didn't really go into details, but I wish I would have now to, understand more. But all I got from it is that she stayed for a week and I had 2 days.
It sounds like she had a good
Yes.
and somebody was watching out for the baby. So she was able to really kind of recuperate a little better.
Yes.
Go ahead now.
Yep.
Okay. Japanese. Okay. I love it. I do. I like, there's pros and cons for me wanting to stay in the hospital. So I get it. But it sounds like she had more support there, being there for that whole week. So that's cool. Now we have, I think you were sharing military. But when we talk about after you had the baby, how long did you guys stay in Japan?
Oh, we were there for 5 years.
5. So
5 years.
Spent her first 5 years in Japan.
Yes.
How was that raising her? Even though you guys were on base, how was that?
So this is how we put it. We lived on base, but we did everything else off base. Wow. And I believe you said you grew up in the military, right?
Yeah, my father did, but he it wasn't like that. We never lived on base or anything.
Oh, okay. Well, a base is basically a community. So there's a grocery store, and so we had access to that. And yes, we utilized those options, but we were so young. We did everything off base. So we just slept there. That's it. Wow. And have experiencing that for my daughter, I think she still talks about it to this day. She remembers everything about it. Wow. And I feel like that was the best gift that we could have ever really given to her right now, is the experience of another country. I think that Japan is one of, like, for children and families to find things to do. You could just walk outside and there is something free to do. There's something, just anything for kids to do. If you're breastfeeding, there's breastfeeding rooms almost anywhere. And I lived in Tokyo, so that probably had a lot to do with it too. It's a huge city, heavily populated city, I should say. And there was just so many, it was great. It was really great.
That's good. What is your daughter's fondest memories there for those 5 years?
I think the thing that she talks about most is her experience in school. So she went to their version of pre-K, which is called Yochen. And she went, there was a little school right outside of the base. And she talks about that all the time. She loves school. They did a lot of outside activities. They had a garden at school. They took care of animals. She just loved it. She talked about it all the time. To this day, she still talks about her experience there at this school.
So she sounds like she likes gardening with you.
For the most part, yes. for the most part.
She like getting her hands dirty?
Yes, she does.
Okay. Most young kids do, but some of us girls be like, we're not touching that stuff. Like, no. So it's pretty cool that she's willing to get down and dirty with mommy and daddy in the garden. So yeah. So excuse me. So when we have your daughter there for 5 years, how was that transition coming from Japan to Arkansas?
Oh, yeah, Arkansas, Little Rock, Jacksonville. We're really in Jacksonville, but I say Little Rock because that's the city that everyone knows. I think my daughter and I, we did not like it at all. We've been here for maybe 3 years now, I think. And it took us a long time to really settle in, because there's Kansas City, and then now there's Tokyo. Those are our homes. The place that I grew up as a child, and then the place that I started my family in. And when we moved here, we were just like, oh, this place is so boring. It's so
Oh,
boring.
no.
So
Oh.
it was kind of hard. And she started kindergarten here. And I think she enjoyed her teacher, but I think it was hard for her to adjust just a little bit to the other children.
Mm.
So she had to get used to that, you know. So it was a little rough, but now we're fine. We just take this place for what it is, you know. And when we find things to enjoy here. So
You guys
it
ever?
was a little rough.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You guys
The
ever?
best part about being back home, being back in America, is being able to go and visit my mom and my family. That's the best part.
Yeah, because you said when you were talking earlier about being pregnant and not having your family around, that was the rough part. You guys couldn't, like, the time difference, you weren't able to talk to each other like that and call your moms. But now that you have this moment, your mom gets to spend that time with your daughter.
Yes.
How do you see, like, the difference as a mom having that support and not having that support?
Anyone who has any type of support and they're really like, I will help you, go and take it.
Yeah.
I know that is the hardest thing, especially for mothers when they first have their first baby. That's really hard to, like, let someone help you, because you're like, no, this is my baby, right? You had that attachment, like, this is my baby. But if you have someone who is willing to help you, then go ahead. Because my daughter, she's 8, so when we go and visit my mom's like, you and Aaron, that's my husband's name, Aaron, you guys can go out and go out.
Yeah.
I see y'all tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yes, my mom will be like, I see y'all tomorrow. She will say that. And that's something that we wish we would have had. Like, we really wish we would have had that. And every chance we get when we go visit home, now we like, bye. Bye. Go be with grandma. Please go be with grandma.
So when you say visit home, where, like, you guys do you guys sometimes go back to Tokyo, or?
Oh, when I say home, I mean Kansas City. Sorry.
Kansas City. Okay.
Yes.
That's where you guys originally met?
That's what. No, we met in Jefferson City, Missouri, because we both attended Lincoln University.
Gotcha.
Yes. Gotcha. So he's from St. Louis. I'm from Kansas City.
Gotcha.
So yes.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you guys get that time away, because God knows that we need it. Okay. Either by ourselves or with our spouse, whatever. We just need that moment to continue to really appreciate what we have. When we come away from it, we start to miss it, start to reflect on how we can do better. And how do you feel like the same way in that area when you guys are away? How does that make you guys feel as parents?
When we're, like, away from Ava?
Yeah.
Oh, well, when the first time that she was with my mother, I was like, oh, okay, like, that, it's fine, because I relatively trust. I say I relative.
It's all right.
I trust my mother. I don't know why I said that. But no, I trust my
Trust your
mother.
mama. She
So
trusts you. She trusts you.
I trust my mother or whatever. And then Ava's old enough to like,
Mhm.
say what she needs to say or
Right,
whatever.
right.
But I did have a mom guilt when we first went out of town and she stayed with my mom. That was hard because, I was out having a good old time and, my daughter called me to say goodnight. And I was like, oh my God, I'm over here having fun, protecting in adult beverages. And she's calling me mid drink. Like, I was like, oh my God. And then I missed her on top of that. And I felt like I wasn't like suited at the time to talk to her, to have a real mom and daughter conversation. But other than that, I kind of got over that though. I had a conversation with my husband and, I got over it. But that was the only time was when we actually went out of town. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what she's doing. I was tripping.
Girl, that mom guilt, when you just said it, that like pierced me a little bit because the mom guilt is real. It's real. And it
It is
doesn't
real.
happen in like one area. Like you said, you went out, you were having fun, and your kids were at home. It's like, I should be at home with my kids. What am I doing?
Yeah.
I should not be having fun with my friends. It's just, it's so real. But you're not alone in that. Like, I think everybody, I feel like almost every mom that I've spoken to has experienced mom guilt. So I think I just don't want to stay there. Like, I'm okay
Yeah,
with having that moment, but when you stay there, it's like so condemning.
it is.
It brings you really down. Like you don't deserve to go out and be away from your kids. I feel like it's
Mm-hmm.
when we appreciate them, when we just reflect on how we can do better. So I'm glad that you guys get that free time, and I'm very glad that you guys, as parents, decide to accept that help from your mom, because it's needed. It's needed
Mm-hmm.
for self-care. It's needed for so many different areas. Being a mom is amazing, but just like being at work is amazing for some of us, and doing other things is amazing, but sometimes we just need a break.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm glad that you're able to get that with someone that you trust, because it's hard out here. It's hard out here trying to find somebody to watch your kids, especially when they don't talk.
Yes, that's the hard. Yeah,
That's
yes,
the hardest part.
yes, that is the hardest part.
So when you guys were in Japan, I'm assuming it was just you and him watching him.
Oh yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I was like, yeah, you're not going anywhere. Is this because you're out? You're
Mm.
still out of your. It still feels like you're out of your element. Like you've been there for 5 years, but still, I don't have family and friends. Like I don't have people that I feel like I know that I know that I know here. So
Mm-hmm.
I understand you guys doing that too. I'm glad you were still able to, you guys were able to go off base and make friends at like that too. That's
Mm-hmm.
really good that you guys didn't just stay in the box, that you guys are able to experience the culture there. What was your
Yes.
favorite part? What was your favorite part in their culture that you really liked?
I, it's not just one thing.
Mm,
Like I loved it all. Every 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 corner you turn, like every sidewalk you walk down, like there is something there to let you know that you are in Japan.
wow.
And I love that. I love that. The temples, the shrines, the mountain landscape, like just the food, just beautiful. It's just beautiful, beautiful.
That's awesome.
And we were out every weekend, every chance we got with a stroller and a crowded train every weekend.
Wow.
Every weekend we were gone. Yes.
Well,
I just loved everything about it.
I'm glad that you guys had a great experience. It's like I said, it's really cool to hear that part of your story, just to know that you experienced a whole pregnancy and labor and delivery in a whole nother country. Do you feel like you want to experience pregnancy here in America?
I don't want to experience pregnancy again in general. To answer your question, just not in general.
Listen, we all have our own desires and hopes and plans. I'm not here to judge nobody because I'm with you. I don't want to experience it again either. You know, but God, for me, God has far to say. I just be like, I can't do no more. Like this is it. This is it. So I get
like this is, but if I had to choose, I think I would go back overseas and experience that again. And like, but it was so culturally like rich. Like my daughter still speaks Japanese to this day.
Yes, that's what I wanted to ask you too. Like, did she pick up the language? But of course, she didn't know 5 years though, right?
Yeah, she spoke Japanese. She helped us translate a couple of things. Like she's good at it, and that's something that she still does to this day. We found a lady here, and she's really nice. And my daughter does the Japanese lessons. So yeah, like I would definitely, because I feel like I'm American, so I'm going to like always have America in me. So they're gonna pick up, American ways of doing stuff like automatically, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would do that like again for a couple of years.
So would you do it if you had a choice, be on base or in the city?
I think I would. That's where I'm like, oh, I would be on base. Okay. I would be on base because I personally had surgery off base in Japan once.
Okay.
And the language barrier, that's the hardest. That like for like everyday shopping and things, that's easy. You can get through the language barrier. But when it's something important as like hospital visits, that's harder. That's harder.
Wow. So you had to experience surgery. Did you feel care still? Did you feel like they were trying to help you understand, or was it?
Yes, like the nurses there, they were sweet and nice and caring, but I still, it was a lot of smiling and shaking head. Like I would rather like no. I know people will probably listen to this and say, well, you were there for like 5 years. You didn't know. Yes, I knew the language, but not good enough to like have a full-blown conversation. So I could pick out bits and pieces, but to hold a conversation, no, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that.
Because like you said, you still lived on base.
Yes, I still lived on base.
Yeah. And
we had that crutch of living on base.
Yeah. So it was, even though you were able to kind of experience people outside of base, I still feel like for me, it's like 5 years isn't enough. I still need some more time. Like if my main language is English and now I have to figure out another language, 5 years, some people can pick it up quick.
Some people can.
And that's not me. And that's okay. And if it's not you, it's okay too. As long as you can, I can get the simple part. I can get
yes.
So no judgment. This is judge-free place. And I hope everybody listening knows it's judge-free. We all got something. We got time to judge. But no, seriously, as a mom, I'm sure. I don't know. I don't want to say I'm sure. Growing up, like, did you think like, how some of us be like, oh, I'm gonna have like this many kids and I'm gonna do this and that. Did you ever like imagine having a child outside of the United States and then living there for 5 years and experiencing labor? It blows my mind still, only because this is all I know. It's just like, I'm not comfortable. Like, how did you ever imagine that?
Everything that I thought was going to happen did not happen. So I can sure tell you that living in a different country, I always wanted to travel. I always wanted to travel, but actually living, like, no. I never would have imagined that. Never,
Mm-hmm.
never.
Wow.
I thought in my head I was gonna be in Kansas City. I was gonna have like 3 or 4 kids, beautiful house. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. That's what my plan for myself was.
Yeah, everything is different. Yeah, one.
Everything is different now.
Yes, I feel you.
Yes.
Well, that's amazing. Like I said, for the third time, I'm just blown away at just to hear your experience in another country, i.e., Japan. And I'm sure the listeners are really, and the viewers are really thankful for you sharing your story and your experience. I'm glad that you had a good experience. Um, and I'm glad that your daughter is able to kind of remember her experience as a child, and that you as a mom decided to, and as parents, y'all decided to say, we're not just going to stay on base, we're going to go and experience the culture. And I think that that is amazing. So as a 8-year-old, almost 9-year-old that knows pretty much 2 languages, yes, go girl. So good job to you guys. If you could change now, yeah, if you could change anything about your labor and delivery, or your mothering, what, it doesn't even have to be about labor and delivery, but if it was something about your mothering, if you could make some adjustments, what would that be?
With my mothering, I honestly wish that I was more firm.
Mm.
I wish I was more firm than what I am. I'm not as firm as I could be.
You can have some of mine. I don't want to be as firm as I am, so let's just pour some of that into you. But yeah, why do you feel that way?
Because it's a lot of like, oh, okay, like they on my end, like, and I just wish I was more of like, this is what I said. Like, there's no change in my mind or whatever. Because the way I see it, how I see it, and I know it's an issue, is that she's the only child here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no reason. Sometimes I feel like there's no real reason to say no. Or you know what I'm trying to say? There is a reason to say no, because you can't do, she can't hear yes. She's not going to hear yes all through her life. But as it pertains to my house and everything, like, I'm just like, okay, maybe. Like, yes, okay, you can do that. Like, and then it doesn't help that, like, she's not a bad little girl. And I don't want to say bad, but she doesn't have any like behavioral issues or anything like that. She's really sweet as pie. So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, you can go ahead. You go ahead and do it. But I do need to be more firm. More firm. If I say no, then you can't talk me into it, like, and things like that.
So she does a lot of persuading.
Yes.
That's all right. I get it. But why? Okay, so why don't you feel like you just want to just be who you are, though?
Because I can see the long-term like effects of just saying yes. Like, I'm very aware of that or whatever. And I just like, the world is not a yes. The world is not a yes. And I don't want to operate my house as if like it's the world or whatever.
Right. I know.
But at the end of the day, the world is not a giant yes. Like, you're gonna hear no. You might hear no more than you hear yes.
Man.
So I'm like, I have to work on, saying no, standing in what I say to her, not changing my mind. Like, so that is a big issue for me.
Well, let's take baby steps. What is one thing you feel like you can change? Just one. One thing you feel like you want to swap?
One thing I could do is if I tell her something, then that's just it, right? That's just it. I won't go back on it or anything like that. I just keep it how it is, and that just be it. That's what I could do.
You could. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great place, especially if you think that's a great place for you to start. I think you should start there. But you know what you could also do in addition to that, instead of just saying no, like, and that's it in all one day, maybe pick one situation out of each day and say, no, let's try something else. Maybe not right now. Like maybe like one step at a time, and like one thing in each day. When you look at that little hand back there, it's so cute.
And she's supposed to be sitting down in the other room. See, look.
She's like
just showing what I'm talking about. Like she's supposed to be sitting down.
All right, we don't have to use that example as we don't have to use this moment. Say no, we don't have to do it. Let Ava, right?
Yes.
Let her do
Ava.
It's okay. It's okay. She can make her debut in just a minute. But no, seriously though, maybe try that so it won't overwhelm you. Because I know when I try to do things and I'm just like, I it's just too much, and then I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So, or it just gets so frustrating.
Try that.
So maybe try like once, maybe if it's that bad for you, maybe try like once a week. Try once a week.
Yeah.
See how she responds to that. But even a conversation about why you are going to start doing that to her, because it sounds like she seems like a very intellectual child, and that she can kind of really understand those conversations. Like, oh, when I get older, everybody's not going to say yes. So maybe mommy trying to help me understand. So maybe that conversation might help. I don't know. I'm not no pro over here, and I'm definitely not a therapist. I have my own therapist. But
I will try that.
Giving a suggestion. Yes. Okay, cool. Now let me know how that goes, because I'm kind of excited to kind of hear, because it's interesting. I'm not trying to be as firm. You are trying to be firmer, have some firm in your mothering, and I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of it. So I'm just like so strict, but I don't want to be like that. I want to be, yeah, sure, honey, sure. I want to but maybe you can give me some tips. Give me one tip. Tell me something. Tell me one reason why you feel like I should continue to try to be more on the gentle side. Give me some encouragement here.
You want to know something because of what you said about talking to her. Like that's how we do it. And besides me saying I need to be firm, it really does work. Like the talking for my kid. I can only say for my kid. So let me say it really works for my kid in a sense of things. Like if I sit down and I talk to her and I just, try to explain things to her, for the most part, she understands it. We talk, and then, and I think that's also a result of her being the only child.
Yeah.
Is that like we talk to her. She don't have besides like when she was going to public school, that was her other interaction with children. But she just got us, so we talk to her. And we have a little bit more. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I have a little bit more availability to her and to talk to her more. So I think that helps, and she understands, and then she's able to like, explain things back to me. Like if I said what I said to her, and like, do you understand what I just said? And she's like, yeah, I understand. So it works to a certain, degree.
Yeah. But you started there.
Yeah.
Great. And I'm trying to get there. And
like, I don't know.
Be like, but mommy, but this. And I said what I said, kind of and then that's when I get firm. It's just like I try this gentle parenting stuff, and it just don't work for me in that moment, and then I just give up in that moment. But
You're not the only parent who said it doesn't work, and like I mean, I believe that it might not work for when you, like you said, when you start in a different way or whatever.
yeah,
So I don't know. I don't know either. I don't know
it
either.
sounds like consistency though. If I learn how to like manage my own stress in a healthy way, and I take it out on them. Look at you helping me. But seriously, I need the help for sure. Because if I learn how to manage my own stress in a healthy way, it won't be as hard for me to talk to them. Because
Mm-hmm.
the talking is necessary. It's very important because I just hear how your daughter is. I think the talking definitely does help for her for sure.
It helps, but it's like, if I'm gonna be realistic, like, I didn't know, because like I said, I didn't. I feel like when we were in Japan, we were kind of disconnected from everything that was happening, even though we had the internet. But when
Mm-hmm.
things were happening and things were being talked about, we sleep. So we're trying to catch up. And at the time when we were trying to catch up, we're like, whatever. So like, I didn't even know what we were doing was like gentle parenting. Like, I absolutely had no idea it had a name until I started seeing it more and more. But I'm like, I just wanted to like have conversations with her because I felt like she was a human being and she was she was capable of having those conversations.
Yeah.
That's how we looked at it.
And that's how
So
and I think that's where I don't want to speak for every mom, but or every parent. I think that's where I get stuck at. I still have a little bit, in the generations before, I still have a little bit of the thinking of you do as I say, I'm the mother.
mm-hmm.
And that's not, I know I was having a conversation with my mom about it the other day. She was like, tell them no. And that's it. Oh, I had some type of shirt on. And Imani was like, Mom, why you get to wear that? I was like, in my mind, I was like, I don't know how to tell her that I'm an adult. And when you become an
Mm-hmm.
adult or when you get older, because I don't want her to think like, well, I'm wait till I'm 16 and then I just know we don't know. So I didn't know what to say, but my mom was like, tell her you're an adult and you can do it. And
I mean, yeah.
It's true, but
Yeah.
I think I wanted my children, it sounds like they really need an explanation. But why? Why? Generation before you better not ask me why. Because I said so. And I don't want to, there's sometimes where I do that, where I'm like, because I said so. But there's sometimes where I explain, like, because, mommy's 33 and, it took some time. I have to explain it to them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, like, there's some things that I don't want to continue in my parenting that I experienced in generations before. What do you think concerning generations for you before?
I mean, I think it's the same for me. There are some things that I don't want to practice, like, at all. I don't have any type of care to, like, it didn't work for me or whatever. And when I sit and talk to my other friends who grew up the way I grew up, it clearly didn't work for them either, right? And I and the whole, like, because you can't ask questions thing, like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, there are certain questions you're like, whatever, go sit down. Yes, I feel like it's a balance. I think that the no questions thing for me, uh that would lead for an adult. You grow into an adult and you don't know how to speak. You don't know how to handle yourself.
Yes.
You don't know how to convey your issue. Like, you don't know how to talk. You just don't.
Yeah.
And and for me, like, I had the same issue. Like, I didn't know how to express how I felt. Like, and I'm like, I don't want that for my daughter out in this world. Because they already put all type of labels, like, on us.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to talk to her like she's a human being, like the human being that she is. and we're going to work through this out. You're going to tell me what's wrong. You can go ahead and get your little questions off, ask your little questions to a certain extent. We're going to learn how to communicate properly and efficiently.
That's good.
So you can, and then it also helps with like, and that's why I say I need to be firm, because if I want her to learn how to, communicate, that's a part of being firm, is a part of communication. Because if she says no, then what does that mean? What does that mean? What does no mean?
No means
no means no.
Right.
So I have to be firm in what I do, so she can understand that she needs to be firm in what she says and what she does.
That's good. That's good. So you're trying to train her for the future.
Yes.
Because we as Black women experience life a little bit differently, especially in the workplace. And so, and in our community, it's just different. And so if we don't speak up, it's going to be pushed on us. But if we do speak up, we're angry. So it's just a balance here that as Black moms have to teach our children. You're not always going to hear yes, and you're definitely not always going to hear no. But you also need to know when to say yes, and you need to know how to say no aggressively. But you also need to speak up for yourself. And you don't have to be quiet, but there's a nice way to say how you feel. So just, I feel like there's so many dynamics, so many things that we have to think about when we are training these children up. It's so important, especially as Black women, to raise them in such a way. Are we going to do a perfect job? Absolutely not. Did the generations before us do what the generations before them did? Yeah, they weren't perfect. We're not going to be perfect, and our children are not going to be perfect. It's just a progression and improvement that we're trying to make. So
exactly.
Yeah. So I think it's great that you started off with gentle parenting, but I think it's also awesome that you're saying, okay, let me help her be prepared for what she's really going to experience. Because when you made the point, no means no, it touched my heart, because it's like, if she feels like she's always heard yes, so she has to say yes, she's never going to know when to say no.
She's never going to say it. Exactly.
And know how to respond.
And know how to respond. Like, I have to tell, I tell her all the time, like, because, my husband, he's like, no, he means he means it.
I know.
And I had to tell her, like, well, that's how daddy feels. And, that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes. You can't talk somebody into like doing what you want them to do. You can't do that. You can't do that. You really can't do that. So
now that persuasive characteristic is amazing. I'm not even gonna like, two of my girls have it. I'm just like, who taught you that? Like, it's a great characteristic to have, but it's also very dangerous. So we have to cultivate it. Just to one of my mentors told me one time, she's like, you got to cultivate what's in them. But you got to learn how to cultivate. If you were never taught how to cultivate what's in you, how do you teach what our children, like, it's okay to do this, but gotta still kind of keep it at this level. Like, there's a balance here. So it's like we're still healing from what we went through and still teaching our children. And it's just but it's fights. I feel like it's a constant fight to be better than the generation before. But I'm glad we as moms are like, we're not going to give up, because our children, they're going to remember everything. They're going to remember.
And I think about that all the time. Like, she's going to remember. Because if I remember, I know she's going to remember.
I know. It's just like,
yes,
my kids are going to think I'm just, here go mom about to yell at me. I don't think like that. I don't want people to think that I'm just this nice mom. They said to me one time, I ain't ashamed to say it because I'm a work in progress. They said, one of the cute girls said to me, why are you so nice to us when people are around? ooh. And that's when I realized I need to get myself together, because they know.
Yeah.
Oh, they can see, they can feel it for sure. So I am definitely working on it, working on improving. And the talking to you has been extremely encouraging. Just to talk to a mom that is completely opposite than me, but we both want to be here in the middle. And I just,
that middle, it's hard to get to.
it's like we like
It's hard. It's so hard.
Yeah, it is challenging, but don't give up, sister. Don't give up, Essence. And
Neither do you. Don't.
I won't. Let me not get teary-eyed, because I've been thinking like, God, I can't do this. I can't do it. God. But
I be feeling the same way. I mean, that's the reason why I don't want to have another baby. that's one of the reasons why. I mean, it's probably if I sit and think about it, it's probably the only reason that I don't want to have another kid. I feel like it's stressful. Maybe I think too much. Maybe I put too much into it, but I think it's stressful. It's stressful trying to raise a human being to me.
It's like you don't. It's like you don't want to drop the ball. Legit.
Yes.
You're trying to hold on to this ball. Sometimes you want to just, it's like you want to let go. And I feel you. It's stressful. Like you started off with 2, and I'm trying to figure out still how to keep my head on straight. Like it is stressful, but stressful. Definitely. I want to always kind of end with a positive with this, because we're definitely equipped. Like, there's moms that can't have kids. There's moms that are struggling in this area. And I don't want to sit here and I don't want to sit here and fake it like it's not hard, but I don't want to sit here and complain 24/7. Not that we're not doing that. We're expressing how we feel. But we know that it's going to get better. But it's just like, I don't want to sit here and complain all the time when there's people who wish they could be in this spot. And in my mind, I'm like, I'd be like, I don't want to be here. Not like on the earth, but it's just in this space where I have to take care of humans sometimes. That's how that's how it is sometimes. But
that's how it is sometimes. And I feel like as a young girl, and I know you said you wanted to end it, but I think that as a young girl, when I look at like when I looked at the imagery of like family and children, it's just all the good parts of it. Even with pregnancy, I saw like the good parts of it. So I enter it into, everything like overly positive, overly confident, right? Yeah. And then I feel like for me, when I had Ava and like the newborn stage and everything, I was just like, oh, this ain't what they said it was gonna be. I was like, oh, this ain't nothing like what they said it was gonna be. Yeah. But luckily now, say it again. Go ahead. No, I was gonna say, but luckily now I see more conversations, like open conversations.
Yeah, Open Book Moms Podcast. Yes, like, we're about to talk about this.
Yes, like more conversations. And I love that for us, and I love that for the women that are thinking about families. Yeah. So they can know what to expect. Like, it's not going to be you have this baby and then you're gonna go home and be like, bam, everything is gonna be okay. Like, you need to know that maybe you might feel this way, and it's okay because everybody feels this way too. Right. So
I think that's good. I don't want the moms, the women that desire to be moms to be afraid. Like, it look. Yes. I don't want people to feel that way, and that's why I feel like I scratch the surface with certain things, because I don't want people to like, oh no, just get out.
It's like for me,
But I also don't want to act like it's like social media or it's like movies. Like raising children is very challenging.
It's challenging.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's rewarding. She makes me laugh every day.
Listen, it is. It is.
Look.
But when you don't expect none of it, when you don't expect none of this to happen, you don't expect the sleepless nights. People be like, sleep now, but that don't mean nothing at that moment. It's just like, yeah, I sleep when I feel like it. But it's like all these things, it's like I don't want people to feel like this is going to happen to them.
No, it's not going
to. Okay.
It's not
going just know that you're not alone if it does.
If it does, yes.
And that's really the purpose of this podcast, is for moms and the women who desire to be on this road, to enter this journey, just to kind of know and be encouraged that you're not alone, but also know like, hey, this might happen. But
this might happen, yes. But you're going to be okay.
You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
You
have to have a village. What I mean is so much easier. It's so much easier to really have that support. 1, 2, 10, it doesn't matter. It's so much easier to have that support. So, Essence, before we leave, is there anything else you like? If there's a mom that I want you to share 2 things. If you could share an encouraging word for a mom that might be in the same situation as you when it comes to delivering overseas, could you kind of encourage them in that?
If you don't have if you're not a military spouse or anything like that, and you need you're delivering off base overseas, do your research. Do your research, and try to do it as best as you possibly can. I had a little list of hospital phrases that I had by me. So maybe you can make a list, like a cheat sheet. If you can, try to maybe have someone, if you can afford it, have a native person be there to like maybe talk for you to the nurses and the doctors. Just make sure you have some type of resource, whether you research it or you have someone with an advocate, almost the same way that you would have an advocate delivering in America. Make sure you try to have some type of like that. Yes, make sure you try to have something like that. Okay. And it would help you for the most part.
That's good. Just real quick, did you have, when you delivered on base, was the person who delivered your baby girl, that person American?
I'm gonna say yes. Yes, she was American, and I said that I had a cheat sheet, but I'm excuse me, I misspoke. I had a cheat sheet for when I had my personal surgery, not delivery, but to incorporate that into delivery, have your own cheat sheet with the native language, things for hospitals, which you might need for that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
That's good advice. I like the cheat sheet idea for sure.
Yes.
So if there is a mom that is in your shoes and they're more on the gentle side, but they want to really prepare them for the world when it comes to speaking up for yourself and saying no, especially as a Black mom. And though there are other moms that are not Black on this, that are listening and going to participate on this podcast, just period. So you could just talk in general, or you could talk specifically to African American women, whatever you desire. If they want to be prepared if they want to prepare their child, or be more firm, prepare their child for entering the world.
If I think that you should listen to your kid. And not we do a lot of passively listening, but we should actively listen to them, because you can help with just the things that they tell you about school with their friends. Mm-hmm. And if you listen to them and you can direct them on how they could handle that situation with their friend, right? That can translate to them being able to take that information and maybe grow up and like, well, I had this situation. My mom told me to do this, or whatever. You could do that and make sure that I'm trying to, but be firm. be firm and make sure you believe. I also think make sure you believe in what you're telling them. I think that's important. The information that you're giving them, make sure you believe in it too. If that makes sense.
It does.
And that will also help with conversations, and I challenged my daughter too. Like if she tells me something happens, she has one friend and she tells me this if something happens, and I'm like, I kind of play, her friend's advocate. I'm like, well, what if, this? Have you thought about like this? Like, make sure you challenge their own thinking too. That would help with real world situations. Yeah.
That makes sense. Ooh, child. That's great.
It's hard though.
It is, but not impossible. Right.
Well, I don't know if that's really good advice.
Well,
I'm just out here learning myself.
Yeah. No, it's nothing. That most things that are worth doing is not easy. Like working out. It's not easy. It's depending on what you want to do. So it's most things that are worth it are not as easy as we would like it to be. It's going to take some work, some discipline, some consistency in our parenting. But I am proud of you for still kicking strong, still knowing who Essence is. And if you are still learning, do you feel like you're still learning? You feel like you're still
learning? Yes.
I feel like it's never ending. It's a never ending journey though. Ooh. It's a never ending journey. I don't know if we're ever going to like get to the point like I know everything about myself. It's seasons change us, life changes us, so we have to relearn, learn again. So keep going on your journey, girl, because that's why I had you introduce who you were first, because you are an individual before every other title that you have. So keep gardening, because it seems like that is your place of peace. Not that your home is not peaceful, but we as moms have to get away in some type of way to refocus. And sometimes we define who we are. So keep gardening. Listen to some music while you sit out there. Read while you're out there.
I do all of that. I love it.
Keep going, girl. Keep going. But yes. Essence, anything else you want to share before I let us go?
One more thing.
Yeah, for sure.
If you have anyone who you trust who wants to take your baby and your kids, let them. Let them. And do whatever you want to do with your time. If you want to go get some ice cream, if you want to go sleep on the couch, let them take your children. Let them.
That's good advice. It's very helpful, for sure.
Yes,
for sure. But you got to trust them, though.
You have to trust them. That's number one. Have to trust them.
Rule number one: trust the person.
Trust them. Trust them.
Yes. Listen, Essence, we are so thankful that you decided to be vulnerable in this moment and sharing your motherhood journey. We are so thankful that you are still mothering very well. And though we are not perfect, don't look like that. Though we are not perfect, you are choosing to still mother and define who you are as Essence. So great job.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. Listen, we are so thankful for Essence being a part of our show today. If you want to tune into the next episode, it will release next Monday. We thank you for joining us. Until we hear from each other again, have a good day.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the OBM Podcast. We look forward to you joining us next week to hear a story from a mom near you. So until we hear each other again, please be sure to take it easy, be blessed, and smile. Remember, you can enjoy life.